Some may describe it as a constitutional earthquake, as we feel the reverberations of what has happened. We now automatically have a new king, and it's literally been confirmed in the last few moments that the new king will be known as King Charles III. Now, at home, you might be thinking, well, of course he would be. But actually, when it comes to a change in reign, the new sovereign is able to choose a different name. And of course, we've seen that throughout history. So instead of being King Charles, he could have chosen any of his other names, which are Philip, Arthur, or George. However, we now know that he will be King Charles III. He also takes on other titles, so Head of the Commonwealth, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Supreme Governor of the Church of England. So we have the constitutional change, we have the change in head of state, but I think what we're also going to see, and I think you're already probably seeing there at Buckingham Palace, you will have a greater sense of this, is a sense that people want to come together, a collective sense of shock and mourning. It was, after all, only 2 days ago that we saw her still carrying out her constitutional duties. And as Liz Truss said in her speech, there are going to be difficult days ahead where communities will come together, just as we have done right throughout her reign to mark those milestone moments, to pay our respects to what was a life devoted to service.
Indeed, Rhiannon, thank you for that. And I would echo those thoughts in terms of what people here are coming to witness and to experience. There's a huge sense, obviously and clearly, of the end of an era, but also a little bit of trepidation about what lies ahead. We know that we are in very difficult times, both nationally and internationally, and at this very moment, the rock, as Liz Truss referred to her, the very spirit of Great Britain, the rock upon which modern Britain was built, has passed. And in just one short week, we have had the changing of a Prime Minister, now the passing of our longest-serving head of state, the rock upon which Britain was built. Alistair Bruce, our royal commentator, joins me now. And Alistair, just on that confirmation now that the King will be King Charles III, and Camilla, Queen Consort.
Yes, it's a moment of continuity and a moment of great sadness. I think for a nation recognising that the Queen is now dead, it must be a great shock for the new king that instantaneously, while he fathoms the loss of his mother, there will be red boxes to be dealt with. There will be the work that the Queen didn't quite finish yesterday. And he must now continue the function of government as head of state immediately. And that process and continuity of playing the role as monarch is one where everybody now will look to King Charles III for decisions on everything. All the needs and requirements of the days ahead will be placed for him to make decisions on. And it is a very busy changing. And the Queen referred to it herself when her father died back in 1952, that suddenly everybody looked to her. And she didn't necessarily feel prepared for it. And yet, in her 71st year as monarch, she became so comfortably adept. And with that glinting eye, when she was waiting for the arrival of her 15th Prime Minister in the drawing room of Balmoral Castle, she wanted to make the photographer waiting feel at ease and made a charming comment to him. And I think that's always been the nature of how she's done this role, is she's always managed to put herself last and to approach it with great humility. And she's given that torch now to the new king, who must take on so much, and yet at the same time, at this moment, with his brothers and sister and other members of the family are recognising the loss of their second parent. And somebody sent a message to me now that, you know, lots of people feel they've lost a parent. And that is the nature of monarchy. It reminds us, because we get to know the monarch almost as though she's a personal friend. And when she goes, it's like losing somebody, and it echoes a loss in one's own family. And I think that those people gathering now outside Buckingham Palace, each of them with their own personal thoughts, they've come for myriad reasons. And a head of state has to encompass myriad people with myriad thoughts. And Elizabeth II did that. And now the new king must take on that responsibility.